So let's talk about this first before it gets out of hand and gets out of control. Everybody from Aquiline Capital getting sent home for the week. This could be a number of things for one, but the bottom line is it doesn't make sense. The only way to really make sense of it from a logical standpoint is Aquiline's moving up in the world and they have gotten their hands on a nice AI trading program and they're about to say goodbye to 50% of their employees probably. And some of these people are probably going to get a call on Sunday night asking how their week was and be like, hey, well, good news for you. We're extending it. How long? Forever. You get to stay home forever. No pay. No benefits anymore. Enjoy your extended vacation. Aside from that, this just doesn't make sense. A company handling $6 billion in assets, has over 60 employees between New York and London, tells all of them to go on break, to take a vacation, all of them, stateside and in London. It's just weird. I'm not saying this is anything indicative of the squeeze or anything like that. It's just something to keep an eye on. I've been wondering if we were going to start seeing any sort of reports about hedge funds and big money managers either downsizing or shit like this, like mass employee technical layoffs or something. It isn't really technically a layoff, but still, this is something I'm going to be watching to see why this happened. Because they're like, oh yeah, you get the whole week off at the end of July, and we're going to do it again in August too. So don't freak out. Don't which could be just a cover, like to keep everybody chill while they figure out what they're doing, who they're going to let go. Or it could legitimately be what they're saying it is. It just seems weird in the market climate right now where making money and losing money literally happens every single day, and you've got to be on it every single day if you want to be making it and not losing it. So weird. Keeping my eyes on it. I don't want anyone freaking out and being like, oh yeah, they're crumbling and blah blah blah, and this has something to do with squeeze, because it probably doesn't for the most part. Second, anyone's looking at my shit, I'm not endorsing Skya. I'm not invested in Skya. I'm just doing research. I do that every single day on certain companies that I may be considering going long in or whatever, but I typically like to have companies that offer options as well, typically, because I like to go long and then also buy some options to see how their volume is and if it's a full-on money-making play. I am not invested in Skya. I do not think I'm going to invest in Skya either. It was just the last stock I was looking into. So let's move on from there. This here, because everyone freaking out about the controlledness, I need you to understand that this has already been controlled. The hedge funds have been controlling the squeeze right now. They've been controlling it in a matter that's delaying it. My last video talking about this is I said this is just it's damage control basically. It's regulating the lending, and essentially it's a net put in place in the event of a catastrophic event. This is going to help manage that without collapsing the entire market. There was already a gigantic correction on the horizon that was noticed last year. My personal belief is that the entire market is heading for a crash now at this point, and then you throw in something like this. It's basically impossible to stop without something like this being put into play. It's just will help mitigate the loss that would happen in the broad market. There's nothing in here. I was hoping I was going to see something about dark pool in parentheses or ATS or something, but it has nothing to do with that. It's literally just managing how lending is done now. Ensuring there's liquidity, making sure that we don't have a ridiculous naked shorted event like this again, making sure fails to deliver do not get way out of hand is basically what this is. So it's more for future events. And obviously there will be shit involving the squeeze that this helps to mitigate. Um, but again, no one knows. Nobody knows. So everyone's saying that they're reading a piece of paper and saying, oh, well, everyone's saying that we're going to have a controlled squeeze, doesn't know what they're talking about. First off, you've got to start looking at this from outside the box. Because when you do that, things become a little clearer. You can't see the whole picture if you're actually in the painting. So you've got to step out of it for a minute, look at it from a different viewpoint. You got everybody freaking out. That's like, we got all this info and all this evidence and all this shit. Why isn't the government doing anything? Well, because the government probably is doing something on the other side right now to make sure this doesn't destroy the fucking economy. Um, the only control that people need to be worried about right now at this point is what you personally can or can't control. That's it, and that's basically comes down to when you buy and when you sell. For the most part, that's pretty much it. That's all you can control. Um, but so many people just don't understand how our government works. You think you do, and I was very much once like you and thought law and order was real and the government was there to protect us and all police officers were good and all this other shit, until you find yourself in a scenario where you are literally the victim of fraudulent, corrupt practices. Until the day you go to jail for something you didn't fucking do, and you had evidence that proved you didn't do it, and the people still put you in jail anyway just because they could. Just because they could. You're not going to understand shit about how our government works, even on the small level. And if they do it at the local level, my God, would you please even just take a second to imagine how big it is on the actual federal level. And it's bad. It is very, very bad. This is no different than, like, I know everyone's seen the movie where you got the two cops that are partners and they're chasing down the bad guys and they get to the end and, you're the good cop. You pull your gun out. You're like, we got him, Buck. We got him. Throw the cuffs on him. You look over, Buck. We get him. Get him. And then Buck slides on over to the bad guys, pulls his gun out and aims it at you. And then you're just like, what the fuck, Buck? That's your government. That is your government. They are your friend and they want to appear to be that way all the time. But they're doing nefarious shit continuously behind your back. And if you dig too far or you catch them in the act, you catch them with their hand in the cookie jar that no one's supposed to be reaching into, you're gonna have a what the fuck buck situation on your hands. You don't want a what the fuck buck situation. You don't. Um, so again, like that's why isn't the government doing anything? How come the government's not helping? How come they're not doing that? Well, let's look at why they wouldn't be. That's how you got to start looking at it. Stop looking at it as why aren't they, and start looking at it as why wouldn't they. That's what you got to start trying to answer now, because you can't answer the why aren't they question. There's no answer for it. We can't figure it out. We got everything in place. Everything. Why? How come not? So now you got to start asking yourself, well, why aren't they? Why wouldn't they be? Well, probably because they already have a role in it, and that role supersedes what you believe to be rightful and just, and they're not trying to have an economic collapse on their hands that is related to this situation. Not saying this is what would cause it and is going to cause it, because it was in fucked up shape prior to that. But this would definitely make it way worse. So focus on what you can control. Just remember that. Don't worry about what is controlled. Just focus on what you can control. Like, it's going to happen. However it happens, it's going to happen. And it's going to be wonderful. That's all we should be concerned about. And then today, looking at the chart, I was pretty excited, only because the volume and volatility lasted longer than 30, 40 minutes. Well, let's just call it the first hour of the day. It carried over towards the noon hour. Till about right here. About right here. And then you see this, and then almost the exact same downward side. Yeah, so that was, let's start attacking. Computer on. By attack, down, attack. So, changes in the pattern. Like I didn't even go to bed till like 3 something in the morning, and I didn't even really sleep. And I got up at 4 because that's 4 o'clock is very important for me since I started noticing at 4 in the morning. They've made it seem like the entire retail community is waking up at 4 o'clock and dumping millions of shares for absolutely no reason. They've been doing that for a while. That didn't happen today. The inverse happened. At 4 o'clock, the price went up. And I was like, oh shit, okay. And then later on, it went down a little bit, but overall it was going up. It was moving in an upward trend. It was definitely a change in the pattern so far. So to see that and then to see this type of volatility and movement, I was actually able to make a little chunk of change in options today, and mainly because I had I had a few contracts already that didn't expire for a couple months, but those went into nice green from being like almost 200 in the negative, so I took some profits on them, and then I decided with what I saw in the pre-market from 4 till open to get a contract right in the beginning of the day. I let it go down a little bit, and then I waited for it to start rising. Once it started rising like it was, I got in somewhere around there, and then made a little chunk of change on the rise going up. And haven't been able to do that much lately because you don't get this type of volume. Like, we haven't been getting it, not like this. Like, we had a lot of volume. I think by the end of the first hour, or close to the first hour, we were over a third of what we had been averaging on the entire day in volume. And I think it was pushing close to half by like 11:30ish or 11 o'clock, something like that. I don't know. But it was good to see, but doesn't mean that it's normal. But we are at a point to where I personally believe, we're coming to the end of a month now. These guys have been doing this shit for roughly a month, a little longer. And we're at, like bill collect time and shit, just like for everyone else. Certain time of the month, got to pay your bills. And this is what I'm waiting for, to start seeing this begin to look like a normal stock, because I don't think anyone's going to flip a switch and then this is just going to go back to reacting like it was back in before June and then that first week after June. Because this right here, this is when it's done, and then we get back into the let's kill these options mode. Like, that's what that shit is. You can look right here. This is an exact. If you were to fold it diagonally, it would be almost perfectly symmetrical. That is a computer. That is not retail buyers and sellers. That is a computadora. So we'll see what happens. I'm currently not holding any options, just to make that clear. When I sold them with the intent of not buying any more unless this sucker went up like over 41 with a quickness, like heading towards 41.50 really quick, looking like the volatility was really back in this thing. And thank God I didn't, because I would have been fucked. I would have bought up here, and I would have been in the red significantly already. So see what happens tomorrow. I'm going to look at this chart at 4 o'clock again, see if it's got upward buying pressure and not downward selling pressure. And that may help me make a decision on how I treat the opening bell and what I do there. So, again, there's been a break in the pattern, but still, overall, 35 to 45 is what I already theorized is where they're going to keep it bouncing, for a week or two. Like maybe for the remainder of the month is kind of what I was figuring. We'll see. This could be an indication that we're going to be going in between like 42 and 45, possibly. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow. It could end up shooting up over 50. Who knows? I don't know. No one knows. It's all theoretical at this point. I'm still of the mindset, if you watched any of my videos or tracked any of my theories on what's being done here and how it's being handled, I've been, for the most part, right. Again, not gloating. Just want you to understand, I'm not just up here saying shit because it sounds good or I wanted to elicit a specific response. that was the case, I'd be like, this motherfucker's going from 40 to 50. Look at what it did today. We're going to be bouncing between 40 and 50. I still think 35 to 45 is what we could possibly see for the rest of this week, back and forth. This here gives me hope that there may be a change in play here. That maybe for the remainder of this week at the opening bells, we may start seeing a nice push upward of shares being returned, or these delayed orders finally catching up to the market. There's a lot of stuff that's got to be looked into and gone over. So that's where I'm at with it. That's my thought process right now. Only worry about what you can control, which is when you buy and when you sell. Don't worry about it being a controlled event or not being a controlled event. It doesn't fucking matter either way, because it's an event. Regardless, it's an event. This is not here to trigger the squeeze. This is not here to control the squeeze. It's just a safety net. It's damage control. That's the only control it's really related to, and it's controlling the regulation of lending significantly better. If this was put through in 2018 when it was drafted and drawn up, we would have never had this problem. But, no point in digging into that, because that's not what happened. So, all right, let me get out of here and see if anything else cool comes out that we can discuss before the end of today. If not, I'll be back to see you guys tomorrow sometime. And again, I just want to make sure I'm bringing you guys relevant information. There's no sense in me talking about the exact same fucking thing every single day like your live streamers do. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to capitalize on you guys. I'm just here to bring a personal theory of mine to your attention, to hopefully answer questions you're having about what's going on, to put your mind at ease, or at least make you feel a little better just having a sense of no. Does not mean I'm right. None of this means I'm right. I could be wrong about absolutely everything. Not a financial advisor, not a fucking lawyer. I am a fucking nerd with a computer that loves patterns and codes, and that's basically really it. And decided to take my own financial well-being into my own hands a while ago. So that's why I know what I know about the stock market. That's why I pay attention to things like filings and all that, because this all has to do with my money, has to do with my financial well-being. So I'm big on educating yourself every opportunity you get when it pertains to your life in a significant fashion. So that's what we got going on here, and that is it for this video. We'll catch you guys either later if something pertinent comes out, or tomorrow sometime. Get out of here.